We have major updates on SNAP benefits, so pay attention. We know a couple of days ago, 2 federal judges ordered the Trump administration to utilize the USDA funds to provide SNAP benefits payments for the 42 million of Americans. Officially, as of today, the White House said that it will be issuing 50% of the November SNAP benefits for Americans, which means that you will be receiving a partial payment. Remember that it will take time for your state to reset the system and reload your cards, so you may expect that payment to arrive a little bit later than usual. Now, while some may argue that it's good they're receiving half of the payments, that's still a tough position to be in, because a lot of the families will need to decide in between buying the additional food that they need for the month and paying their bills. As always, sources are on the caption, save this, spread the word, and follow for more news.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the latest updates on what's really happening in America right now. So now let's get straight to it. Millions of Americans are still waiting for food on their table. And after weeks of tension, a federal judge just dropped a massive ruling against the Trump administration, ordering them to unlock emergency funds to keep food stamps running during the never-ending government shutdown. But here's the catch. Trump says he will only pay partial, as a partial payment, and no one knows when that will even happen. So how did we even get here? And what does this mean for millions of Americans counting on these benefits to survive? Let's unpack it.
The government has filed a response letting us know how they're going to pay SNAP benefits in November, and it's not good. I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. The judge in Massachusetts ordered the government to tell her by today how they intended to pay the SNAP benefits, if they were going to do a partial payment or a full payment. The government has now filed an affidavit saying they intend to spend, I believe it's $4.75 billion from the contingency fund, which would only be a partial payment. Now, the government says there are procedural difficulties that states will likely experience, which would affect November SNAP benefits reaching households in a timely manner. They go on to state that for some states, it might take them anywhere from a few weeks up to several months to distribute SNAP benefits. So the USDA is going to issue the appropriate notice and issuance tables today, according to this affidavit. But as you can see, they are saying that it is unlikely that people are going to get their full benefits. It may take weeks, it may take months. So that is the latest update. Now, the judge told the government to tell her what they intended to do. This does not mean she's going to accept what they are saying they're going to do. So this is the first step. Now, the judge will probably issue an order either telling the government, go forward with what you're proposing, or I want you to change it. And then from that point, there could be appeals. So this could be a long process. People may not see any SNAP benefits in November. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments.
Food stamp SNAP update. Great news. Every state will be receiving SNAP benefits. However, there is a downside to this. Every state will only receive up to 50% of what they're used to, and this can take months or weeks to get your benefits. But at least we know something is coming. That is definitely help. Now, for those who are completely out and need food right now, please comment your city and state below, and I will see what I can do to help you get food in those cities and states. I also will be going to several cities and states myself and delivering food to you personally. I love you guys so much. Be blessed. Bye.
Hey, what's up, America? Donald Trump funding half of food stamps, but we still don't know when it's coming. As you know, food stamps didn't come into people here in the United States that desperately need them because the Democrats shut down the government. And of course, Democrats are continuing to keep the government shut down. Also, as you know, 2 federal judges ordered Donald Trump's administration to fund food stamps. And Donald Trump told the court that we could get about 50% of the money, and that's going to be going out. Half of the SNAP benefits. But now we're hearing that it could be weeks, even months, yes, months, before those payments go out. Meaning that there's a chance that the government shutdown could be over with and payments restart before these payments initially go out at all. So even though it's been ordered that there are food stamps, and even though Trump says he's paying half, there is no timeline on this yet. Now, knowing Donald Trump in the past, I'm sure something will happen pretty quick with this, but I have a feeling that there's not going to be much resolution until the government opens up again. Not from Democrats who are stalling no matter what it is, or Republicans who don't want to fund the full thing. Which is unfortunate because this is a missed opportunity to show empathy from the Republican side.
A major update on the food stamp program today. 2 federal judges within an hour of each other have ruled against the Trump administration, ordering them to tap into emergency funds to fund at least part of the November food stamps for 42 million Americans. Massachusetts U.S. District Court Judge Indira Talwani said the Trump administration has until Monday to come up with a plan as to how they're going to at least partially fund the food stamp program. 24 Democratic-led states sued the U.S. Department of Agriculture over the Trump administration's decision to suspend the SNAP program. Now, Judge Talwani said that the USDA must use emergency funds to keep SNAP going. She also said that other money is legally available, and it's really up to the Trump administration as to how much benefits they're going to distribute to SNAP recipients. Now, there's also a second federal judge who ruled against the Trump administration. U.S. District Court Judge John McConnell of Rhode Island ordered the administration to distribute the contingency funds as soon as possible for November 1st payments. Republican and Democratic members of Congress have been urging the administration to utilize some of the $5 billion worth of money that are in the emergency fund, but they've been refusing to do so. The USDA was originally going to tap into those funds for the food stamp program, but then about a week ago, they reversed their decision and decided against it. Now, there have been 2 federal judges who have ordered the Trump administration to use these funds. However, we've seen the Trump administration not adhere to court orders in district courts, federal district courts, for the past 6 months or so, right? So we're not sure what's going to happen, and we're not really sure if or when SNAP recipients are going to see their SNAP benefits. But I will keep you updated on all of these things. Now, I've shared a previous video. As it stands right now, almost every state in this country is doing something, whether they're allocating funds to increase the food availability at local food banks, or some states are using their own funds to put a percentage of SNAP recipients' monthly benefits on their cards. Some states like Rhode Island are doing 25%. Other states like Virginia, they're coming up with an entirely new program, and they're going to fund SNAP recipients in their states. For the most part, individual states are doing something to help. If you can't figure out what's going on in your state and what kind of help is there available for you, send me a message and I will help you out to the best of my ability. Please like, follow, and share so that I can continue to provide you with content, and I appreciate you being here.
Breaking news, update on food stamp and SNAP benefits for the month of November 2025. The administration has agreed to give partial benefits for the month of November. So homes that are receiving SNAP benefits will receive 50% of what they usually get for the month of November. And the administration is saying that this will go out by Wednesday. Also, Head Start programs have been forced to close their doors due to the government shutdown and no funding. However, some of the major Head Start programs in the country have received an extension, but we don't know how long that will last. So make sure you check your Head Start programs in your state.
Good news, y'all. You can postpone your grocery store shoplifting trips because President Trump just agreed to partially fund SNAP benefits during the shutdown. So grocery stores might actually be safe again, for now. So here's what's happening. A federal judge told the administration they can't just stop food stamps. So the Trump team is using about $4.6 billion in contingency funds to cover half of November's benefits for the 42 million Americans on SNAP. The alternative was to take over $8 billion from the Child Nutrition Program, which would impact school lunches and food programs for our children. So the administration shot that down. Now, this isn't full funding for SNAP. It's just enough to keep people fed for now, but at least it's something considering the government's been shut down for 34 days, making this the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. So how will it work? The USDA is putting together what's called a benefit calculation table for each state. That tells each state how much to pay out, basically the same formula as usual, just cut in half. So if you normally get $600 a month, you'll likely see $300. If you get $200, it'll be around $100. So everyone who's already eligible will automatically get half of their normal amount on their EBT cards. No need to reapply or call anyone. The Treasury Secretary said states could start sending those payments out as early as Wednesday, depending on how fast each system updates. Meanwhile, states like New York are declaring emergencies just to keep food programs running. And the part that really stings is that this all could have been avoided. If the Democrats would have just voted to reopen the government through November 21st, they could have continued negotiations through then. So if you're tired of this political theater, call your representatives and tell them to get back to work and open the government, because while they sit there bickering and getting paid, real families are standing in grocery aisles wondering how they're going to pay for dinner. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
I want to know if this level of cruelty, will this level of cruelty be enough to wake up HALT members who are on government assistance, who depend on SNAP to feed themselves and their children? If this level of cruelty will be enough to finally wake them up. This came from the United States Department of Agriculture under the leadership of Brooke Rollins. And she states right here that grocery stores seeking perhaps to give relief to families cannot lower prices for people who are impacted by SNAP. They cannot change, alter, give away free food, do any of that per USDA guidelines. That's what this letter says, sent out on November the 1st, the day that SNAP benefits were being held back from those who need them most. This coming on the heels of $8 billion in aid being suspended and 42 million Americans going without the SNAP benefits they are owed. Comes on the heels $420 million in direct aid to food banks that are trying to fill that gap because they're being shorted by this administration, as well as denial of $1 billion additional direct food bank and school aid funds. All of this at one time to hurt the most vulnerable among us. So will this be what it finally takes to make them realize that these people hate them? They're not for them. They don't care about them at all.
All right, food stamp update. This Monday. They ain't released the food stamps yet, but Trump was on, I don't know what news station he was on, lying about prices being lower for groceries, saying, no, they're lower. But this is the kicker with lying like that. Everybody knows, because everybody's going to the grocery store. So you could lie about certain things and it might not get covered or dug into a little deep. But this, everybody just know. But also, Walmart is on his ass because Walmart receives 24% of SNAP money. 24% goes to Walmart. You think they not mad right now? You think they in order for the beginning of the month? Huh? They got stuff on the shelf sitting because they refuse. Let's make this clear, because people are starting to pick it up more and more. But let's be clear. They don't have to hold the SNAP benefits. In fact, 2 courts said they have to give the SNAP benefits out because that $5 billion was there just for this. And you know what bitch ass Trump said? Well, we'll show us how to do it. What do you mean? Once the courts say it, you get them released. That's it. But he don't want to. He tried to get the Senate to go nuclear to reopen the government. And the Senate like, nah, we're not going to be your patsies. We're not going to be your kiss ass like the whole House of Representatives on the Republican side. All of them are kissing ass. Right? The senators like, nah, we stronger than that. We're not going nuclear, because Trump said once we go nuclear with this, then we get to do whatever we want to do. And the senators like, nah, that's not how the country runs. I had to look this up. Walmart's cut in the $5 billion that they could release, their cut is $1.2 billion. You don't think they fussing and fighting with these politicians right now? $1.2 billion they're about to receive if they just release the emergency funds.
Now, this might be one of the quickest updates ever right here. The judge from Rhode Island told the Trump administration that if you're going to give out full payments on the SNAP benefits, it need to be today, Monday. It need to start rolling out today or prepared today. If you're going to do partial payments, then that need to be Wednesday. No later than Wednesday, need to start being prepared and getting rolled out. I guess you know. Trump administration said they're doing partial payments, y'all, for November. So y'all don't go to spending all your September or your October SNAP benefits and all that celebrating. They paying out partial payments, so you better manage that money, man. Manage your SNAP benefits, man. They announced today, this morning, that they're doing partial payments. So I guess that's going to answer a lot of questions from my last video when people saying, well, what's going to happen in December? Another partial payment. I knew this. I told some of y'all, I told y'all that's what they're going to do. I say, if they don't do the full payment, they're going to do partial. And you might say, well, what is partial? Does that mean half? Partial. Whatever they decide to do. That might mean they might give you a little piece for November, a little piece for December, a little piece for January. They might stretch that boy. We don't know. But they did announce today that they're doing partial payments, y'all. So y'all manage them SNAP benefits, man. Big Duke out.
Y'all, this is not a drill. Breaking news. The Trump administration just told a federal court it's only giving out half of SNAP benefits this month. Because, guess what? They ran out of money. Over 40 million Americans rely on this program to eat. And right now, their EBT cards are coming up empty. So here's what's happening. All right. The government, as we already know, has been shut down for over a month. And the Agriculture Department said it'll use every penny of its contingency fund, which is about $5 billion, to cover half of everyone's benefits for this month, November. You may be asking, why not the full amount though, bruh? Well, because they say they need another $4 billion to do that. And they're refusing to dip into the child nutrition program funds that feed school kids. So in translation, y'all, they're choosing between hungry families and hungry students. Judges in Rhode Island and Massachusetts had to step in, ordering the administration to pay up something after millions went hungry this weekend. Food banks are jammed. Texas and California are turning stadiums into, get this, food distribution sites. And people are still waiting for clarity. Meanwhile, 25 states have sued the USDA, saying these contingency funds were always meant for moments just like this, these shutdowns, not just natural disasters. And here's the wild part, y'all. This is going to blow y'all's wig back, okay? So in 2019, Trump's own administration said these same funds could be used during a shutdown. Now they're out here acting brand new. So yeah, this isn't politics anymore, y'all. This is survival. If you know someone who's depending on SNAP benefits, please make sure to check on them. Make sure you share this video, spread the word, because when the government fumbles, it's the people who go hungry.
After weeks of saying they couldn't do it, the Trump administration just agreed to release that contingency money to pay SNAP benefits for the 42 million Americans who need it. But it's not going to be the full benefit amount, and it's probably not going to show up on your EBT card today. And I'm going to explain why. So according to this court document that was just filed in Federal District Court of Rhode Island, the Trump administration said the contingency or emergency fund for SNAP as of November 2025 has $4.65 billion in it. But as I've been reporting, SNAP benefits cost the U.S. government about $8 billion every month. So if there's only a little more than $4.5 billion in the fund, according to the court document, that means SNAP recipients will receive about 50% or half of what they normally get in their monthly SNAP payment. The average SNAP benefit, by the way, for a qualified household is about $350 a month. That means recipients will probably receive on average about $175 for the month of November. That also means, according to the Trump administration's court filing, that no funds will be available for any new SNAP applicants who were certified in the month of November, and there will be no SNAP benefits available if there's a disaster, like, for example, a hurricane and people need food assistance. Now, if you are a SNAP beneficiary, when are you going to see this money? Well, here's the thing. It's going to take a while. That's because even in normal circumstances, it takes time for the money to be released by the federal government, get to your state, and then physically be put on each individual EBT card. But what's happening right now is a huge change. The Trump administration told the court in today's filing that they will issue the notice to the states about this partial SNAP payment today. And once that happens, each state will have to recode their system to make the partial payment adjustment. And then once that happens, the state will send that new amount to the state processors, who then are responsible for putting that money on EBT cards. But there's a big problem, especially in some states. According to this court document, some states, not all, but some, have super old systems, and making these recoding changes could lead to SNAP payment delays anywhere from a few weeks to up to several months. Now, some states have modern systems and it will not be a problem. But for those with old, clunky systems, the Trump administration is telling the judge that it absolutely will be a problem. So if you are a SNAP beneficiary, it would be wise for you to check your state's SNAP website for the latest update on when this partial payment will hit your EBT card. Now, the other thing that could, of course, change all of this is if Congress gets back to work and passes some kind of spending bill to reopen the federal government. Then SNAP would be fully funded again. The problem is the House is yet again on recess this week, and the Senate is not putting forward any new plan to get us out of this mess. And here's the thing. Pretty soon, it's going to become harder and harder for Republicans to continue to say that the Democrats should just pass the House's continuing resolution to reopen the government. Why? Because that continuing resolution expires on November 21st. That means even if Democrats today said, all right, yes, we will vote yes on that House CR and we'll reopen the government, which they won't, it will be just about 2 more weeks. And then we're going to be right back here in another government shutdown. The bottom line is there must be a new plan because the one they got isn't going to work.
So for weeks now, the US has been trapped in a political standoff. The Trump administration's shutdown, one of the longest in US history, it's starting to bleed into every part of American life. Airports are understaffed. Small businesses are freezing up. And now, the nation's most vulnerable, low-income families, the elderly, single mothers, are being hit where it hurts the most: the dinner tables. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, better known as food stamps, helps feed over 40 million Americans each month. But with the government still at a standstill and funds drying up, the Trump administration was planning to limit or delay payment. Then came the twist. A federal judge said, not so fast. In a powerful ruling, the court ordered the Trump administration to tap into emergency reserves, funds that were initially meant for crisis situation, right, to ensure food aid continues. The judges emphasized that hunger is not a partisan issue, reminding Washington that real lives are at stake here. Still, Trump's response was less than reassuring. He announced plans for a partial payment, but no one, not the states, not the recipients, knows when that money will actually arrive. The message is clear. The political games in Washington have crossed a line. What started as a fight over policy and power has turned into a humanitarian issue. Let's take a step back for a second. Imagine being a single mom in Ohio or Texas, waking up every morning unsure if your EBT card will work next week. Imagine elderly Americans skipping meals to ration their groceries, or kids relying on school lunches because there's just nothing left at home. These aren't just statistics. These are millions of Americans, taxpayers, veterans, workers, who are now victims of political brinkmanship. And for what? A shutdown that seems to have no end in sight, driven by political pride and finger pointing rather than practical solutions. The latest ruling is a direct slap to Trump's authority, highlighting how the courts are now stepping in to do what the administration wants: protect ordinary Americans. But politically, this is a major turning point for Trump. The optics are terrible. You have a president who's promising to put America first, yet millions of Americans can't even put food on the table. Quite ironical. Even some within his own party are quietly frustrated, warning that the economic and moral fallout of this shutdown could haunt the administration for years. Meanwhile, Democrats are pointing to this ruling as proof that the government's duty is to serve people, not starve them into political submission. The federal judge's decision sends a clear message. The basic needs of citizens aren't bargaining chips at all. So, where do we go from here? If Trump only releases partial payments, that could create chaos in the food supply chain. Grocery stores that rely on EBT transaction could see massive losses. States may have to step in temporarily, stretching their budgets thin. And if the shutdown continues next month, economists warn of potential ripple effects: increased food insecurity, higher poverty rates, and declining consumer spending. America could face a crisis of compassion, one where millions go hungry, not because the nation lacks resources, but because politics got in the way of humanity. Yep. At the end of the day, this isn't about Democrats or Republicans. This is about people. Families, children, seniors, caught in the crossfire of political ego. A federal judge had to remind the president of his basic duty to feed the people he governs. That's where we are right now in America. So here's the question for you. Should the courts have the power to force the executive branch to release emergency funds? Does it have to get to that? Do you think Trump's partial payment plan is a genuine effort or just a political theater? And how long do you think Americans can endure this shutdown before something truly breaks? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, give it a thumbs up. Like the video, share it with others who need to hear this, and don't forget to please subscribe for more in-depth discussions on the issues that matter most. And until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, take care of each other. One love, guys.